Alright, so I'm not going to be long with this presentation. So this is in response to the earthquakes in Venezuela. Now, I'm gonna call this the number 8 is in the mix, but the title on my slide is Judgments on the Nations ? Now, throughout time in history, we've known about earthquakes and the kind of natural disasters and everything else, but something is off. Something is afoot. Now, everything after 2020 seemed like the world spun out of control. All right. Now, the reason I call this, could judgments be on the nations? I'm gonna go to this one website. So if the video plays, let y'all check this dude out. This dude is some type of scientist that studies like solar activity and earthquakes and seismic disruptions and all that stuff. We're gonna clip of him, and then we're gonna see what's gonna happen, or what he is predicting. Not really much of predicting, but just the state of being as far as in relation to the sun and to the globe. Okay, so
it's called the rake, and that tells you whether it went up, down, or sideways. And so if it's negative, that means it was an extensional quake, but 0 and 180, whether it's positive or negative, we will also just take a quick look at the space weather, because I think this is all connected into it. We've seen this time and time and time again. I mean, basically we just put out an alert for high magnitude earthquakes as a result of the space weather and this large transequatorial coronal hole. Okay, it just went geoaffective. We see that clearly by going to our real-time solar wind. And again, I'm going to turn myself off, but you see the yellow line right here? That is our solar wind velocity. And you see it just now is ramped up to 640 kilometers per second. So it's going very, very fast. The solar wind's not super strong. You see up top is the magnetic field. Went up to about 16 nanotesla. And we...
Let's see if we can get this going. Now, okay, you got that, you know, relationship to the sun and all that other stuff, right? Okay, but this is what I wanted to point out. I just was thinking about something. I had this concept rolling around in my head the last couple of weeks, right? And it's the New Madrid earthquakes of 1811 to 1812. And then these earthquakes set off very, very unique chain of events. So one of them is this, right? After this earthquake, a lot of weird stuff happens. The Mississippi flowed backwards and all this other kind of stuff. There was an eclipse. Then you had a war breakout and all these things. But what I want to point out with these earthquakes was this. The earthquakes in that area of the United States in 1811 caused a lot of damage. Now, I've heard people say, and I'm gonna have to do a more detailed video or find somebody that knows more information about the subject, which I've heard it, but they hide this kind of information. But these earthquakes is what got rid of a lot of your black towns and stuff like that. This is what kicked it off. Now, you already had slavery going on, but you also had a lot of freedmen. And that particular earthquake is what caused a lot of mudslides and all kind of stuff that moved people around. And after that, a war broke out. And then you get the height of slavery, right? Quote unquote. Well, these wars had a lot to do, a lot of these Indian wars broke out around that time. And then right after, you have the height of slavery. And I think that's interesting. Now, what I want to go into the occultism and the numerology of this thing, right? So I looked into earthquake of 1811. Okay, I got 217, I believe. No, it was 215. 215 years ago, right? You add those numbers together, you get 80. Okay, and this is a book about spiritual science and numbers. Pretty easy to find book. But this is what it says, right? H or 8. The law of 8 and its manifestation of H is to create, to fulfill, to complete. Man, that's very, very interesting. Okay? You gotta think about the number 8 now. You gotta think about what day did Yahushua rise. He rise on the day after the Sabbath, the 8th day. It's fulfillment. Okay? So, check that out. Okay? And then, there's this other slide I have, right? Let's check this out. This is Baruch, Apocalypse of Baruch. I don't remember chapter. It ain't hard to find. It's in Baruch. Moreover, it shall be when these things which were predicted have come to pass, that confusion shall fall upon all men, and some of them shall fall in battle, some of them shall perish in anguish, some of them shall be destroyed by their own. Then the Most High will reveal those people whom he hath prepared before, and they shall come and make war with the leaders that then be left. And it shall come to pass that whosoever getteth out safe of the war shall die in the earthquake. Whoever getteth out safe of the earthquake shall be burned by fire. Whoever getteth out safe from the fire shall be destroyed by famine. Now, this is what I'm saying, right? In 1811, I feel like was a reset. Okay? It was a reset, because at that point in time, we still had a lot of black-owned towns and stuff like that. But that earthquake did more damage than they want to tell you about. Now, I'm reading from this other slide. I'm just going to tell you about the number 8 real quick, because you got to get into numerism and occultism and all that, and I don't want to just be talking about that type of stuff. Okay, so let's just say this right here. Well, not because I don't, the vain, the profane don't need this kind of information. So it says, as 7 was a number of original creation, so 8, it says W.F. Shaw, may be considered as the day of regeneration. Now, we have earthquakes in Venezuela, earthquakes in the Caribbean, earthquakes in Japan, earthquakes in the Philippines. Okay. So, if the nations are going through all this stuff, who is finna be regenerated? Who is finna be resurrected? Okay? So that's my question. Coincidence? Am I reaching? You decide. Because I think it's a reset for them. Let me know what you think. Peace.